Constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius Couch.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away to the Mobius Couch, a time-space interdimensional vehicle from which your three hosts oversee the world of comics. Welcome, people of the world, to the Mobius Couch. Today's lyrics, of course, based on I Believe I Can Fly, written and performed by Robert Kelly, now a convicted sexual felon.
That's true.
But today on the Mobius Couch, we're here to talk about Avengers Forever.
Part 2, Al,
part
7
two.
through 12.
Issues 7 through 12. In the previous episode, we, of course, talked about issues 1 through 6, action-packed, wonderful issues, timeless crossover event. And we're going to wrap this bad boy up. Bad girl at bad boy sounds. Is that okay to say? Anyway, we're going to wrap this bad girl up.
I don't know.
Right now. Avengers Forever Part 2.
Bad boy.
So we're going to start with
bad boy, I think.
Bad boy.
What you going to do?
Wrap the bad boy up. Bad girl sounds very not right.
Wrap up the bad girl? That sounds kind of hentai.
Let's wrap this bad girl up. Yeah, you want to wrap
Yeah.
up the bad. Let's wrap this bad boy up is what we want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
This bad
Proceed.
they. Let's wrap up this bad them. But yeah, issue 7. So let's just get into it. I mean, we already talked about the background of the crossover event and the creators and all it meant for Marvel with issue 1. So if you're interested in that, please make sure you listen to episode 1. Yeah, let's just get into it. We're ready. So issue 7, I want to talk about the cover because we have Yellow Jacket thrusting his crotch at us with his mouth weirdly open and like his tongue
The way
kind of
he
out,
jumps
and
around,
he-
I like it, sort of. The way that it's trying to evoke the fact that he's always springing around and shit. But like, man, the perspectives of where his crotch is at and every drawing is...
And his
There is
his pupilless, kind
aggressive-
of like unfocused eyes and mouth open.
Yeah.
It looks strange.
Yeah, there's like an aggressive sexual energy to Yellow Jacket through this entire series.
Yes.
Like
And we see it.
He's
like
he's the creepy uncle for sure.
Look at his
Rapey.
leg, but he's like very fit. Like this is the fittest I've ever seen Hank Pym in my entire life. Look at the gams on him. Look at those quads compared to
He's
his
got
upper
muscle.
body.
His muscle tone is,
So the
He's
little
not skipping
vibrating
leg day
wings is
at
what
all.
helps him spring around, right? Like jump high, but like,
Just
why
make
does he seem like he
wings.
has like Spider-Man powers?
Well,
I
they
don't-
definitely
I can't.
do. He does, like we talked about in Ultimates too with Captain America with the legs, like the splits. Hank's doing a lot of
he does that
splits,
here.
and
Yeah, he does that.
Yeah,
here.
he does
He
a lot of that,
vaults. He does the leapfrog move a lot with his legs out. We get
Yeah,
a
he's
lot
doing a
of
lot of
cross shots.
splits.
He's
Yeah,
a
lot
very
of kicking
kinda
people that are 6
athletic-
feet apart with both of his feet.
All right. Well, anyway, let's get into the issue. So
End of last episode, issue 6 ends with them going to Limbo to fight Immortus because they don't know what's going on and they don't know why he's trying to kill Rick. So that's where we pick up.
yeah, and we discussed how that actually was a bad plan, and we weren't sure why they thought it made sense.
Yeah,
But
it made
they're
no
gonna do
I
that,
mean,
though.
their plan was like, let's go in there with no plan because there's nothing else we can do. And I'm like, you didn't even really think about it very long. Like you just kind of like you didn't even
You're
weigh your
literally-
options. You were just like, you know what, we're gonna have to do this eventually, so let's just go now with no plan.
Yeah, it
And
didn't make
literally
sense.
outside of time and space, you have
Yeah,
like,
you can just hang
literally
out for
all
like
the
a couple of
time
days and figure it out.
in the world. You could really brainstorm and come up with some plans.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, let's just,
I think
let's just bum rush it.
I think they just didn't want to spend another week with Yellow Jacket in like a confined space. So they're like, let's just go.
Yeah, because they
just
abandoned
get outta
him
here.
like real fast in this episode or
Yeah.
this issue.
But
It's so
they
fun.
so
Sex
one
appeal.
thing that's kind of cool is that the way they leave is Songbird like creates a spaceship for them, which is kind of a neat power.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
got some cool powers.
and
I
that's
like
kinda
Songbird. I liked her back then.
I
I liked her on the
kinda-
Thunderbolts.
I kind of wish I knew more about her because she creates a platform, and I'm thinking she's just going to make like a disc, like a pink disc that they stand on.
Mhm.
But it's like a spaceship that looks like a manta ray, and it has like laser guns on it. Like it's very
Yeah,
detailed.
and they all have like a place to sit. Like she even
Yeah,
made Hank a
like-
giant chair, even though he could shrink down, which I think is like if you're
Yeah, why-
if you're asking someone
Yeah,
to
but he
make
refuses.
a chair make a car with their mind. You couldn't shrink down to normal size just to
Nope.
make it a little tiny bit
He
easier.
my
refuses to
God.
shrink down. Yeah, he just refuses to do it.
That probably speaks to his whole like inferiority complex.
That's why it's called High Pockets. You know what I mean?
No, High Pockets is Captain America.
No, High Pockets is Hank Pym. What? What's wrong with
No,
you?
High Pockets is Captain America. I had to Google it. I was like, why does Hawkeye keep calling Captain America High Pockets? And apparently, High Pockets is slang for World War II era generation. The notion behind the term was that people in a position of power had a tendency to draw extremely high-waisted pants. In fact, the waistband was often pulled up above the navel, leading to the slang term "high pockets."
That's the
So
dumbest-
he's referring.
That's the dumbest
He's
shit I've
referring to
ever
Captain
heard.
America. Yeah.
Well, he also calls Yellow Jacket yellow shorts. I'm like, that's the one part of his costume that's not yellow. He's wearing black.
He also
shorts.
calls Yellow. He also calls Yellow Jacket yellow jerk off, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah. I just wrote like I was just like, what the fuck, Hawkeye? Like what? What is this Hawkeye? I remember liking this book. Sort of. I don't remember. My memory of this book was like, this is interesting. I'm gonna read it. And then I remember reading it and kind of going like, that was fun. And now I'm reading it again. I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
I'm gonna save this for the end, but
Yeah, me too.
this book broke me. I don't want to read a comic ever again. But they get
So
to Limbo.
they go to Limbo and get immediately split
Into
up.
Limbo.
So they all have these like individual instances with like mirror versions of themselves or little traps that have been set upon them.
Right. And so Hawkeye faces off against my boy Tempest. He's back, although Tempest this time has less to say about the continuous pain of his existence and his desire to die. He's a little more positive this time.
Yeah.
So maybe he saw his therapist this week or something, but he seemed a little bit more upbeat than we usually see Tempest. And Hawkeye
He does get his
meets-
head smashed in by Hawkeye, though.
Yeah. And then so Captain America talks to a Nick Fury without an eye patch. I didn't quite understand.
He talks to like
how the,
three different iterations of.
Well,
Nick
it's Fury from like
Yeah.
it's Fury from like World War II.
pre eye
Yeah,
patch and all
yeah.
that.
which turns out to be
Um,
Libra helping him with his self-esteem or something like that.
I feel like Libra was like basically not needed this entire story arc. Like he had nothing to do with anything. Like they could have just
Well, he
had
just
Kang
set
do
it
that.
motion. No, he set everything in motion. What do you mean?
He's the Deus Ex Machina that shows up to release the Destiny Force whenever they need it.
Yeah.
He has like a special Xena Warrior Princess like pressure point thing that releases the Destiny Force
Yeah,
from
which is
everyone's body.
stupid.
Oh, okay. Well, I see what you mean, Joe. Yes, he has no purpose, but he is like
Yeah.
a shallow plot device to make things
Yeah,
happen.
it's-
in certain ways.
Yeah, it's horrible.
He is.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, he's a plot device.
Like find a different way to get that to happen because it's so dumb. And because like when the point is then once he's there, you have to write him out of the story, like that stupid fight he had with Hawkeye
Yeah.
like a couple issues ago. It's like you got to get rid of him because he could just help anytime, and you're just like, ugh, come on, man. All right, whatever.
One thing I want to talk about is this issue specifically. I thought Pacheco did a great job because a lot of this is very kind of psychologically exploratory, and the heroes are separated, and it's kind of about their like inner struggle. So there's a lot of close-up shots, and I thought he really did a good job of drawing
He's
the
he's
characters and like facial.
really
expressions.
good
I
at like a
thought
classic
it stands
superhero
out.
book. You know,
Well,
like
but
he's
I
just
think
good
it
at
really
drawing.
stands out in
Yeah.
comparison to the first 6 issues. This one I thought stood out for me in the art.
Yeah, that's good to know. I mean, like also, he's just well-rounded. Like it's not like he really stands out in any area. I think sometimes, but it's just like he's just a
Yes,
well-rounded
yeah.
artist that just can
But
do
it's-
everything he's supposed to do, kind of thing.
Especially for like 90s comics though, because it
Oh, for
feels
sure.
90s, but
Mhm.
also I'm on Al's page with the last 6 issues. I did enjoy the art. Like the art did not detract from the story. The story detracted from the story.
Yeah,
The
and
art,
he
I think,
also
was fairly on point.
consistently did all 12 issues with like the same level of quality. I feel like every time, like it wasn't like he
Yeah.
like started rocky and got better as it went, or he started to fall off at the end because it was too much for him to keep up with. Like he was just regular, on time, always doing his job, kind of thing. And there's a lot to be said about that from comics back then, and even now, really.
And so moving along, also, so Songbird kind of sees like a trial and kind of comes to grips with her criminal past and all that.
Yellow Jacket
and then-
does finally realize he's Hank Pym. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, and Captain Marvel just creeps up on Songbird and they make out just because.
Yeah,
Well, they're in
it's,
love in his
that
future,
happens.
I think.
his future doesn't
Not
make it
hers.
okay,
I mean,
though.
I guess her present. I guess his future just became her present. If you know what I mean.
Rick Jones
Rick,
is
can we talk
fucking
about-
annoying yet again.
Well, before we get to Janet, I just want to talk about the way in which Rick Jones sits. Did anybody get he like rides and grips like strongly. It is a weird way to sit on a. It's almost like a sensual creep. I don't know. It's like the way
Also,
someone
he's
would watch,
jumping around like he's Yellow Jacket half the time. Like I don't understand. I'm
he's
like, what?
really
Isn't he just a
powerful.
regular dude?
No, he's got the life force or whatever.
No, not right now. He doesn't.
Well, but it's like latent.
Switched
in it.
off
I mean,
or what? I guess
it's passive in him or whatever. So he's got.
it's very bizarre.
Anyway,
he's
I don't
He's
like
the worst
how
part of
he's-
this entire book, and the whole thing linchpins on him. And it's like that's why I'm just like, oh god, Rick Jones.
Yeah. But I don't like the way he sits. And sorry, Patrick, you were going to say something about Janet before I got into.
Oh no! So like as you were saying, they go to limbo and they immediately get separated from each other. So everyone's going through their own trials. We mentioned Cap, Yellow Jacket, Hawkeye, Songbird, Captain Marvel. Janet though is like she's hearing multiple voices of Hank Pym and saying different things, and she's trying to figure out which one is the right one. And man, I will say that was kind of like a creepy moment because she's literally the art. Yeah. She's like flinging backwards, holding her head. And one of the word bubbles, so these are all different Hanks talking, says, Ultron will be back to free me and then we'll crush you. So I guess that this is already like after Hank had been bad for a minute with one of his multiple breakdowns. But it was like him making her relive all these moments. And some of them were good moments with Hank. And at the same time, she's being hit with bad moments with Hank, who's her current husband. And I felt like it was speaking to Janet, how she's kind of the anchor of the team throughout this arc. And she's the leader. I thought her trial was the most difficult out of any of them. And I say that without knowing much about Songbird. I feel like she had a lot going on, but I didn't know who in this.
She does, yeah. So. She has a decent amount going on in that, but like this, you're right. I agree, though. It's kind of like insane how much different phases of life of insanity Hank Pym's gone through and put her through it, because of it.
Yeah, ironically, it doesn't seem. Yeah, and it doesn't seem like Hank himself is faced with any of his pay. He just kind of
at all. He's just
he just gets to barrel trying through to get the castle Janet. And he's done. Yeah. So
also,
anyway,
okay,
good for him.
Tangent, but what the fuck are these limbo bugs? What are these bugs that?
Patrick, you're asking the wrong questions.
Why can Yellow Jacket control them? And what do they do? Why can they project illusions? Like who made these bugs?
Those are the wrong questions to ask. You just need to accept it and move on.
Yellow Jacket goes, come on, limbo bugs. Our anomaly dingus may have steered me wrong, but I seem to be able to control you. So fan out and find me the head honcho of this joint for me to cause this little Yellow Jacket and gone quietly into that good night. I don't know. There's a lot of plot devices.
I seem to be able to control you is a little bizarre. Like where in the why?
Because he's Ant-Man? Because he...
I guess, but wouldn't that be like Hank too?
It's very American Psycho though. When he takes the mask off and he's looking at himself in the mirror, it's like very Christian.
He's like, Yellow Jacket is Hank Pym. I guess what they've been saying all along is true. Like, yeah, dummies. Like, what? Of course it's true. They've literally, it's not with an ounce of joke in it at all. They've been like, you are Hank Pym, you fucking idiot. Like they've just been telling you this entire time.
Patrick, I know you Wikipedia'd this. Who did he think he was when he was Yellow Jacket? Like, what was his human name that he thought he was as Yellow Jacket?
No, I didn't read too much about it. I think it literally.
I don't know if
Yellow Jacket
have a name.
I think when he has a Yellow Jacket costume on, he thinks like Yellow Jacket is who he is. Like he doesn't have an alter ego. He just is Yellow Jacket.
He is the stupidest man alive. Nobody is just a costume. Yeah. That's not.
It kind of implies that he's.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that if I was to put on a mask and just start calling myself by a different name, and then that
you
makes
wouldn't
me an
just
idiot?
be that? Yeah, that you would just be a moron if you thought you were just that. But he is able to control those bugs, and again, to Patrick's point, not given any sort of explanation. But
He could do
That's
it.
that's the beginning and end of it. That explanation right there.
Yeah.
I seem to
it.
be able to control you. Take me to the head honcho. That's it.
So he does find the Honcho. He finds Immortus, but then Immortus.
Is it because he like beat his own scenario so quickly?
Joe, stop it.
I don't
Just stop
think
it.
so.
Let's stop this. Let's stop this. We are
Stop it.
staring.
Just
we are
stop it.
staring. We're staring too deeply into the abyss, and it is now staring back into us. We need to move.
All right, sorry.
We're
Moving
not
on.
gonna. But Immortus traps him. They make like a bargain where he's going to betray the people because he's a piece of shit. In the
Wait, did
meantime, the other
Libra? I don't think
Avengers-
Libra did that. I think he was just observing, Patty. That's what I got from that.
No, I think
No,
Libra
Libra-
was
The Captain
Nick
America
Fury.
thing, like he has faced down his own doubts, face them and overcome them, at least for the moment. The balance is tilts as it should, and I am not needed here. As in, like, I showed up to look at this, and it seems to be all
I
working out,
see.
so I'm going to leave again, kind of thing. Because that's all he's been doing the whole time.
Yeah, you're right. There's no panel that shows Nick Fury turning into Libra. He just kind of shows up. I just assumed that like Libra was Nick Fury, but
No, yeah, I think Cap's
No,
just
no,
going
no,
through
he-
all the same.
Yeah,
It's
Libra
the
was
limbo
there,
bugs doing all the things.
the limbo
You know,
bugs.
The limbo
Yeah.
bugs.
So
Because
this was a way for Captain America. Yeah, this was a way for Captain America to get his mojo back, so to speak,
Mhm.
to get the
Libra's just there.
leadership.
He just likes to watch. Yeah, he just likes to be a voyeur. He does. Okay, but then the rest of the Avengers, except for Yellow Jacket, do meet back up, and they just get out of there. Even though they didn't achieve anything they wanted to achieve, they just left without having done what their plan was going to be to do. But they just left it.
That's because they had no plan. They just went there and they
Yeah.
winged it. And
They
well,
also-
we
they
forgot to
spent
mention
an hour there and
when they go into limbo, every time they use the Sphinx, they go through like some sort of wormhole and they see
Mhm.
images, chrono images, I think they call them. And one of them is of
Oh,
like the
90s
Vision,
comics.
and then one of them is the Human Torch, the original Human Torch. But then another one is like
Yeah.
the Synchro staff, which must have been a storyline from a
it's
long
an
time
old
ago.
Avengers
But
storyline.
From
I
a
guess
long
like
time
the
ago,
Synchro staff like would tell them what to do. So they leave. They abandon Yellow Jacket, who's actually switched sides, unbeknownst to them. So he makes a deal with Immortus, saying, "I'll help you fuck over these Avengers if you make me never go back to being Hank Pym. I stay Yellow Jacket forever, and I also get to marry the Wasp." So Immortus is
Hey,
like, done.
did
You're my
did
new
we
ally.
in the 2 weeks since we did the last episode have we figured out what that meat carpet is? Because I still want to know.
No,
Meat
I don't think we
carpet?
ever found out.
You know,
What are you
Immortus
talking
is
about?
meat.
the
Immortus
the
is meat.
skin rug he has
The
under his
skin rug
feet.
that he sits on.
It's fine.
What are you talking
Look-
about?
A meat carpet, like I said.
Oh yeah, I think I may black that out.
I don't think we've.
I mean,
ever
this only
figured out
shown right here for 5 seconds. It was shown more before this.
All right, but we got to move forward. So this issue
Mhm.
ends with YJ making a deal with Immortus to betray the heroes, and then we have issue 8.
Hawkeye gets a magic stick.
Yeah, but it also turns out that Hawkeye somehow came across the Synchro Stick, which is what they saw in the image.
Yeah,
And so issue 8 starts with him. The Synchro Stick won't talk to him, and they saw images
Yeah.
of the Synchro Stick talking to Avengers, so he knows he can talk.
Yeah.
So Hawkeye goes to break the stick on his knee, and it turns to a space phantom. Because why wouldn't it?
So there's two things about issue 7 real quick before we get into 8 real quick. One, Rick's gone, so the second they leave, he leaves because he's a fucking idiot. So we just need to hammer that home. It's very important that we show how dumb Rick is every step of the way. And then because they're like the one thing they did is say like don't leave, like just don't leave. Like we have shit to do, we have superhero stuff to do. The one thing you can do that's bad is leave. Just
yeah, but
don't do that.
him leaving ended up being great though.
Uh-huh. And then Hawkeye finds the magic stick. But I just think it's the other thing that I think is hilarious is how quickly they decide to leave behind Hank or Yellow Jacket.
No,
they
what do you
all meet up and
decide
Yellow
to
Jacket's
leave?
not there and they're just like, we gotta go. And they're like, but Yellow Jacket, or whatever.
I don't think
Like,
they even
just
said.
Then no, they
They-
mention him for like 2
Did they
seconds.
even
They
say
do.
but Yellow Jacket? I think they just.
They
Oh no,
do.
they did say
Somebody
Yellow
does.
Jacket. Yeah,
No.
Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel does say it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Captain
they're like-
Marvel's like, I sense that he's alive, and the group's just like, let's just go.
Yeah.
Forget it.
What choice
There's
do
no
they
time
have?
to waste, Wasp.
Yeah. So the only thing I want to say about issue 8 is just pure insanity. This is like everything wrong with 90s comics in one issue. This was just bonkers. Issue 8 was bonkers.
It's a lot.
It's the secret history of the Avengers.
Bad Lee presents the secret history.
Go ahead. I wrote, my first note is Hawkeye has lost his goddamn mind. That's basically that's all I wrote. Like,
he's still wearing that costume where he's like half naked with just the shoulder.
You know what it is? So it's from when he was Goliath. So he had giant man powers for a little while, and he was called Goliath. And but there was more to his costume. It was still weird like that. Like he still had like that skin area open, but he had like straps and other stuff going on and a mask. So, but then like when you take away the giant man mask or the Goliath mask and the straps and stuff, and you're just left with this like red, it looks insane.
Right. Like, I don't even know what is the name for that
just
article
put a
of clothing.
fucking shirt on.
It doesn't
or just take that off.
Yeah, and just be shirtless.
Just be shirtless.
Yeah, like, why even have it? What is it doing?
It's crazy. Anyway, yeah, issue 8. Issue 8.
Well, issue 8, the synchro stick turns out to be a space phantom who basically tells the Avengers that Immortus has been fucking with their lives from day one. And
and this is basically like a full issue of exposition about like how all of their memory is based on this.
This issue,
I wrote, you hang out in limbo long enough, you become a big-eyed Oompa Loompa.
Yeah.
So I guess the space phantoms are people that wander into limbo, and then over time they all look like that eventually.
Yeah, and
they all look like that. They all get the power. Yeah, they all get the power. And Immortus has been shepherding the Avengers.
Yeah.
And Immortus has been shepherding the Avengers through the space fan. So this is like a big issue of them retconning shit that I guess didn't make any sense back in the day. Like, I think if you were probably a diehard, like if you were a diehard Avengers fan, I guess back in the late 90s, you'd understand and be like, oh shit, that's why that thing that didn't make sense back in that storyline is because Immortus was behind it. So that might have been interesting for those people, but 30 years later,
it still doesn't make sense after this issue. None of it makes sense anyway. But
I mean,
Cliff Notes, Immortus.
It's taking like 50 years of Avengers comics and like tying weird storylines into the fact that Immortus was shepherding them in a certain direction, and that's kind of cool in one sense of it. But like, but the other hand is just like, exactly. So the concept is cool.
Well, the Cliff Notes is that Immortus knows that Scarlet Witch's children are going to be like some kind of powerful being that could end reality. So he sets all this stuff up so that Scarlet Witch will fall in love with a robot because Immortus is like, well, there's no way they could have kids.
Yeah. And then I wrote Wanda a fucking again.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
Wanda.
Holy shit.
Why is she on the team? Why is she on the team? She's she's awful.
My favorite fucking part of this issue by far, though, is when Space Phantom is laughing and he's like, "No one caused your breakdowns, Hank. We lied to you."
Yes,
he was just like, it was just like the best reveal of the entire thing.
Yeah,
I guess that's the reason I've been crazy all these years. Like, nope, you're just crazy. Like, just fucking so good.
They went out of their way to just say, "Nope, you're insane."
Nope. You're insane. Nice try. I see where you're going with that, Hank, but no, you're just insane.
That was
but they find out this whole time that Immortus was just and somehow part of his manipulation was using the original Human Torch android to then become Vision or something.
So I think
don't know why that was important.
Again with the retconning, I think Marvel fucked up and like one writer didn't know another writer had this idea for the Human Torch. So the Human Torch, for listeners who don't know this, there's the Fantastic Four Human Torch. Then there's the Human Torch. That's like a robot.
The original Human Torch from World War II with Bucky and Cap was a robot.
Yeah. So I think this was just them trying to clean up, being like, oh shit, we said this one thing about the Human Torch like dying and being buried, but then we also said this other thing about the Human Torch's body being used to make Vision. So we have to clean this up. So they do this really weird thing where Immortus like takes the Human Torch's body and then brings it back to the past. So there's two bodies at the same time, and yada yada yada. This issue was bananas. It was just a lot of fucking retconning,
pure insanity.
Just showing all the times Immortus has fucked with the Avengers throughout time.
Yeah, and there's also a storyline that involves Mephisto, and apparently Immortus was manipulating Mephisto as well.
So
sorry, I'm still laughing about Hank Pym.
That Hank Pym part was I laughed out loud because so the Space Phantom is like we manipulated Captain America here, we manipulated Scarlet Witch here, we manipulated the Vision here, and then Hank's like, well, obviously you were behind my multiple. He goes,
I'm still wrapping my head around the idea that was Immortus, not Kang. So it was he who was responsible for my nervous breakdowns, and then the Space Phantom's like, no one caused your breakdowns, Henry Pym. We lied to you. It just made things all the more convincing to back them up with a lie you wanted to believe. It's so good. they brush past it so fast after that. Like, Hank doesn't even react. He just goes, all right, fair enough. Like, there's no like, wait a minute, you lied to me, or like, I'm actually crazy, or nothing. Just no reaction to that being told to him.
But yeah, the two main points are what Al mentioned. The Scarlet Witch is the Nexus being for 616 universe, which I guess means she has a big influence on the destiny of the entire planet.
Yeah,
and it's known for a fact.
Every other crossover event.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
Well, it makes sense now, right? But they know for a fact, for some reason, that if she has kids, those kids are going to be more powerful than like the ultimate forces in that universe, like infinity and eternity and stuff like that. So we are explaining that he tried to make her fall in love with a robot, and so she couldn't have kids, but she just invented children anyways. And I like it because the timekeepers specifically told him to kill the Scarlet Witch, and instead he made this whole fucking like plan to get her to fall in love with a robot, yada yada yada, and it still failed. It's like, I love how when they're watching everything, Hawkeye goes, "Wanda married."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool. Because there's like a time.
What the fuck?
So one quick point though, and I know it's stupid. Like in this specific context, it's dumb, but with what happens later, I do like this pattern of Immortus not being that evil or ruthless and kind of having a soft spot and a human attachment to these heroes and these characters. And it comes back at the end, but. So I know in this context, because like this issue is all just bonkers, and so all of it's dumb, and the idea that he didn't kill the Scarlet Witch, I know it's all dumb, but in terms of Immortus's character, I do like what it starts revealing about how he isn't willing to just murder people or do like the easy thing. He continually kind of wants to like find
because he has all of time to play with, so he's trying to constantly like tinker with it and like affect things to get the outcome he wants instead of just going in and eradicating. Just like,
oh, all right, I'll just kill the person. Instead, he's more of like, no, I can find a way that we can all survive, and I can find a solution that is good for everybody. So I thought that was a good hint at his future actions and what he later did. One last thing about 8, because they get knocked out. Yellow Jacket with his gum game. You see him drag that gum out of his mouth.
Yeah. And he's basically, he doesn't just have his thumb behind his belt. Like, he's pulling his pants down.
He is, He's doing that cowboy thing, except his finger is inside his fucking underwear.
His finger is like behind his belt, but it's like pulling his belt down. Like, it's not like it's like.
Yeah. It's inside.
It's not like he's just like resting his hand in his pockets or something. Like, he's like pulling his shorts down.
No, it's inside the pant, pulling it down.
Yeah, his thumb is behind his belt, actively yanking it downwards. It's not like it's. He's just fucking weird. Like, there's so much weird shit with
and then tugging that gum out of his mouth.
I do think again, Carlos Pacheco, his arts again. He's pretty solid. Like, I like the Cap limp on the ground, but his shield's propping his arm up. Like, it's little things like that. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Issue 9 is basically the same thing over again, but it's from Kang's perspective. It's just a Kang retrospective.
If you didn't get enough like retconning exposition in 8, then we got another issue.
There's a whole
we just get
other
Kang's
issue
version. I want to make one note about Wanda and how she's terrible.
Okay.
In Tom King's Vision creates an android based off of Wanda, and that android becomes a murdering maniac. So, I mean, with the android based on you murders, I think you have an issue. I just wanted to make that one point
She
about
did it for good reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Wanda's the worst. All right.
Kang's
Happens.
issue, although very similar to the last one, I actually found kind of interesting versus the
Yes.
retconning of a bunch of random Avengers stories. Like Kang telling his life story, so to speak, was kind of
Right.
fun. I found this
Because
issue
it was
entertaining.
it was kind of a self-contained story that you could follow as a first-time reader, whereas I feel like issue 8, if you didn't know,
because when
more
I
of
read this,
Avengers
even back
history,
then, I didn't really
yeah.
know who Kang was. You know, like I didn't really. I mean, I knew of him. I'd seen him in comics, but I always knew him as like the lame villain that they beat in 5 seconds and that's it, kind of thing. You know. So like this was kind of like, oh wow, what an interesting, cool character this is. Like, and this is what he's been doing all this time, and this is what he does when he's not fighting the Avengers. He's off conquering other planets and doing all this. It was kind of cool. That's all.
There's also a reference. So his love interest, Ravana, was in the Loki show. She was one of the.
You're
right.
right.
The head bureaucrat. Her name was Ravonna Renslayer.
Oh,
there's a few
Kang's, love interest.
I did not remember that. Good job.
There's a few Loki references in this issue because he brings up the TVA and he also brings up Goliath. Like there's
a lot of Loki stuff in this, and it's just the Time Lords in general. But like the ideas of how the timelines branch off and like what all this stuff is, and like there's one good timeline where it contains the perfect future for the destiny of humanity and the universe. Like all that kind of stuff is all in Loki. Like
they also make a reference to
weirdly relevant book, I guess, you know, to what.
So you also learn that Immortus's big goal is to keep humans from space exploration because if they do that, then I guess potentially the Destiny Force is released within inside all humans and they become really powerful and they just conquer planets left and right. So that was like one of the big reveals in issue 8 as to why Immortus wants to kill Rick Jones. But then Kang in issue 9 realizes that it's not just because humans have the potential to be terrible, but also that the human race is the most dangerous thing to the Timekeeper's existence. So there's some bias there with the Timekeepers.
This issue actually is better. It's actually a decent issue. But like
because I think the only two halfway interesting characters in this arc are Immortus and Kang.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Why this is more.
Yeah.
They are
the Avengers are there as like flavor
of the Avengers.
Yeah, and we'll get into it when we get to the last few issues. But like the fighting and stuff in these books, it's just like it's just pure. There's nothing happening. It's just a panel of someone punching and like a million people around them, and then like in the next panel, like just keep fighting, and you're just like fighting what? Like nothing's happening.
It's just
it's
nonsense.
I'm not seeing a fight scene. It's just nonsense to like delay them getting to the next panel. I really like at the end of this that Kang is just like, fuck that. I don't want to become Immortus. Because you do kind of get the feeling like, is this the pivot point? Like, is this the point like where he's like mulling or like retelling his own story to whatever computer he's talking to? And he's like literally hitting like pause record. And then he's like thinking about something in real time. And then he's like, okay, never mind, back to my story. And he's like telling it out loud. And you get it. And he has his mask off. So it feels very Immortus because he looks like Immortus at that point with the mask off. But then he's just kind of like, you have this feeling of like, oh shit, is he about to be like, oh, that's what I've been doing wrong all this time. Conquering is the wrong move, and I should be more like Immortus, and like maybe this would be the linchpin turn point, and that it's not at all. And I love that kind of thing. It's just like Kang being like, you know what, fuck that, I don't want to do it.
Well, that's what was funny because it seemed like he got bored with being a conqueror, and he's like, okay, I'm clearly acting more like Immortus. This is my destiny. So he goes into his time machine or whatever, but then he sees what happens, like the bargain he makes with the Timekeepers as Immortus. He sees that happen before it actually happens when he's still a little bit more Kang than Immortus. And that pisses him off. Like being someone's servant pisses him off so bad that he's like, fuck this shit. My final note about issue 9 is that I love the fact that Kang started the Council of Kangs. So he went out to the different timelines, found his other, Kang versions to make a council, right? But the real purpose behind it was so they'd all be in the same place at the same time so he could kill them all.
Which is very Rick and Morty. I really like they just constantly refer to Rick Jones as a mere stripling. And I'm like, what is this language? What did they talk? Like, why do they keep calling him a stripling? Like, it's so bizarre. but it's such a weird like insult. It's such a weird highbrow insult because it's been Amir. I mean, he's basically like, so that's like a young man that's a man but is not yet a man, but it's not a boy anymore. And I'm just like, he's clearly a grown ass man. Like, I don't why do they keep calling him a stripling,
like a wife and
it's
shit.
just like, what a weird insult to consistently keep calling him. Like, am I supposed to identify him with him like he's Robin or something? Like, he's not a kid.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a grown fucking man.
Well, he's definitely. This is the progression of, because like I think originally Rick Jones was the boy that a reader could relate to and live through in the comic. Like,
thank God they got away, or they did away with that stupid fucking.
But this is like, in this arc is kind of the evolution of that, because Rick Jones is the one who can harness the Destiny Force, which is the force all humans inherently have. So again, I think we're supposed to feel through Rick Jones that we have the strength within us, and it's through him. Like, he is our window into this world that every man could step into.
Yeah.
And participate
on that note,
in saving the universe. And
you find out at the end of this issue is when you find out where Rick went, and he went to go talk to the Supreme Intelligence and get Kang to go help him fight. And I do really like the part where Kang makes the decision to help Rick. It's because of the odds are so overwhelmingly against them. Like, it's basically like Rick's like, Kang says something like, so it's just the three of us to defeat Immortus and the Timekeepers and free the entire universe. And then Rick's like, yeah, that's about it. And then Kang's like, excellent. like you're just like, I fucking love that. That's great. It's a fucking really cool, like, Kang's like, I am gonna stay me forever. Fuck Immortus.
Issue 10 is the obligatory hentai cover where everybody's tied up.
I thought the same thing.
Everyone's turned up. Yep. It's the late 90s. You've got to show people in bondage. That's just how we
Songbird
do it.
She is front and center.
Yeah. Yeah. This issue, again, it's just filler. Like, there's nothing important.
Nothing
happens. Just a filler issue.
Apparently,
one thing I wanted to mention about this issue, Captain America does not have a good grasp of probability. The Time Lords or whatever tell him that there's a 46% chance that humanity will end the universe. And he goes, well, that's less than 50%. That's not a lot. Yeah. And it's like,
that means in over half of the possibilities.
Yeah,
we don't do that.
I just want to tell Cap, that is a high probability for one.
I don't even think it's 46. Isn't it 49? I think it's 49 to 51, by the way. I think it's even closer.
It's in the low 40s.
Okay.
I just want to tell Cap, that is a significant probability for one planet to cause the end of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I don't. He needs to take a math class or a statistics class.
I 100% agree, because when they said 46% or whatever, I was like, oh shit, that's a lot. And then Cap was like, what do you mean? That means
he's like, you mean more than half the time we don't do it?
And it's also like 46% is like the absolute worst outcome. Okay, so that leaves you with 54% that isn't the worst outcome. But also out of that 54%, probably half of that is still not great outcomes. So
I think it was more black and white. I think it was 54% they just don't do that, and then the other 46% they do that. I think it was way more black and white. I don't think there's any gray area.
Space Conquerors, but I don't know. It was
right.
It was a high enough percentage. If they'd been like 10%, I'd been like, oh, well, that's fucking low. Like, maybe we should reevaluate this. But when they were basically like, it's almost half and like 50-50 shot, I was like, okay, I get the whole pruning timeline thing that y'all are doing.
Mm-hmm. Also, you're pruning timelines that you're inventing for this storyline. So, like, it's not like you're cleaning up continuity.
Well, it's also weird, too, that like the Timekeepers, it's only the bad versions of the Avengers that they have control over. So it's like your army is dependent on the bad timeline. Like, they're trying to prevent the Avengers Armada, yet at the same time they use the Avengers Armada as
I think they're using those timelines as an expendable military, though. Like, not in the sense of like, these are the ones we can control. I think it's the ones that they're like, we don't care if all these guys die, so let's just pour them through the gates and let them stop let them help us stop their eventuality from happening.
All right,
What
and
is
then let's
happening?
just go to the end of this issue because this is filler. Like it's just leading to the last battle is nonsense. So this issue ends with Rick, Kang, and the Supreme Intelligence arriving in the strangest vehicle that's ever been. This is on par with Apollo and Diana's
I was
weird
thinking the
motorcycle
same
and Wonder
thing.
Woman.
Apollo and Artemis's, yeah.
So this is so Rick is driving the cycle, but he's like belly down and like butt up and clamped into it for I don't know why. And then Kang is behind in another seat directly behind him.
We should mention that Yellow Jacket switched sides again and
Yeah.
and gives them all their weapons back and frees the Avengers. Anyway, they start to fight.
Because Immortus is kind of on their side as well anyway. But and then anyway, the back of this cycle is just this giant like formaldehyde tank carrying the Supreme Intelligence with just its mouth open. Just mouth breathing in its tank, but they arrive in this weird tricycle thing.
Rocky Jones here with the heavy artillery.
Who wants to kick some butt?
Kang and the Supreme Cycle.
Issue 11 is the first of 2 issues of just nonsense fights we have.
Well, also, okay, so my first note with issue 11 is just, and this we've already talked about this, but we talk about like the over sexualization of female characters, but Yellow Jacket, when they're fighting,
what?
You can always at any given time you can see Yellow Jacket's taint.
His dick, yeah.
You can always see it.
Yeah.
You can always,
His
not
taint?
just his dick or his butt. You can see the area
crotch,
between his
taint,
ball sack and his butthole.
Yeah, his legs are wide open at all times.
If
it's mostly an ass shot, you're still seeing taint. If it's mostly a dick shot, you're still seeing taint. Like you're seeing the underside of his crotch.
Yellow Jacket does not skip. He does not skip leg day though.
Even in the last issue when he was like, "Cap, here's your shield." He didn't just like throw the shield to him. He did splits.
No, he
and then simultaneously threw the shield.
Yeah. Insane.
Hey, Cap, think you find a use for this thing? Throws in the shield. He doesn't just he was standing there 5 seconds earlier. He could have just thrown the shield.
Yeah, you could have thrown it. But issue 11, starting with the cover, you have the cover, Yellow Jacket's doing a split. The first page, you can see his taint. The second page, you can see his taint. It's everywhere.
Oh, wait, I do love in issue 10 real quick, too. Like, Hank's big thing once they get unlocked by Yellow Jacket is to grow big, of course. So he changes into Giant Man real fast, and he's like, "Let's fight him, Avengers!" And then the Time Lords 2 seconds later just go really, really big, and they're like fools. And Hank's like, "Ah, shit."
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with somebody that turns giant.
Well,
never had this problem before.
Why was Hank? I don't even know why Hank was on the team. I know at the end Libra does his little vignette of every single person and why they mattered, but like Hank didn't matter. Like Giant Man Hank did nothing.
You know what? He was very important in those early issues when Rick was still in a wheelchair to carry him around.
To carry him, yeah, they did need to carry Rick.
It was very integral in that point.
So the Timekeepers flee, and so they all pile into the Supreme Cycle.
Yeah, because it grows more chairs.
Yeah,
also, Hank still huge when they get on the cycle.
He will not
doesn't shrink down to a normal size to get on the Supreme Cycle.
Will not compromise his convictions.
One big macro note I just want to make about 90s comics in general, and this actually carried into like 2000s comics, was all the science fiction mumbo jumbo lingo.
Oh god, there's so much of it.
It's everywhere.
So much of it. The Chrono Cannon, the Chrono, I couldn't.
Yeah, the Chrono Cannon was funny. Yeah,
like Chrono Cannon, Forever Crystal.
The Time Lord's big plan is to use a Chrono Cannon to eradicate the other timelines, and they need the Destiny Stone.
It's the Incal.
Yeah, the Incal.
Yeah, they
to
need the Incal
rewrite
to fire the Chrono Cannon.
It's called the Forever Crystal.
Oh, the Forever Crystal. Sorry.
I do like when they show up. They chase the timekeepers. They chase the timekeepers, and one of the timekeeper goes, "Kang again."
when this issue is a giant waste, by the way, as we were saying, but like the fact that I think I literally wrote the Time Lords run, the Avengers chase. That's it. Like Libra talks about balance and fades away. Like it's just like, oh my god, like just yes, the balance. When you're just like, why are you here? What are you doing?
It's just stupid. So the Time Lords summon evil versions of the Avengers that they all have to fight. So they all fight them. And then the other plot twist we see is for some fucking reason, Captain Marvel hits his Wonder Woman bangles together and becomes a homeless one-armed Rick Scott.
Yeah.
Why? Like, what are we? I
don't know why. I will say,
why are we doing any of this?
Future Rick, it's Rick Jones, Al, not Rick Scott. Are you crazy?
Yeah, I know who he is. I know who he is.
I enjoyed old Rick more than young Rick, though.
He's also clearly wearing a Superman cape and a Batman belt, so that's interesting.
I like how because he's one-armed, the left hand wrist bangle is just like tied to his belt.
To his belt, yeah.
Well, also he's pinned his sleeve up with like the Eye of Agamotto from like meaning he's been on like crazy adventures, obviously, and has acquired all these like random things, hence the Superman cape and the Batman belt kind of thing. But also his other arm that he has still doesn't have a sleeve. Like what?
Well, he wants to show it off.
He's got one arm and he ripped that sleeve off, and he's missing the other arm. But instead of just ripping that sleeve off, he's decided to pin it up against fold it very carefully and pin it to his body.
Well, I think because
it's a non-choice. That's all I'm saying.
Well, he wants to show off the arm that he does have.
Well, again, showing off the arm you have, fine. But if you're willing to tear the sleeve off the arm that needs a sleeve, why keep the other sleeve? Hawkeye's fucking like every word that comes out of his mouth, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like it's so many like nicknames and weird shit that comes out of it. Like all he does is just spew out like, whatever you say, yellow jerket or high pockets, get over here. Whack tang, kang tang, walla walla, big bang. I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? What am I reading right now?
Doing that, like, because I had to laugh because the big thing, the timekeepers can put up a force field. So like Songbird, Captain Marvel, Kang, they're all shooting like lasers at the force field to like wear it down.
To try to break it down.
And I think Hawkeye, his banter is just distracting from the fact that he's just like shooting one arrow at the force field like every few minutes, like not doing anything.
Yeah, he's just not doing anything.
Yeah, he's like, why is
because this is not Ultimate's Hawkeye, let's put it that way. He's not the guy that can rip off his fingernails and flick them into your throat and kill you. Like this is just I don't even know.
But so
honestly,
the
last 3 issues could have been one issue. The last 3 issues could have been one issue.
They stretched it out.
Easily.
They stretched it out. But so the 2 Ricks touch bodies, and then they can access the Destiny Force, and they summon all the other Avengers of all time that weren't summoned by the Timekeepers to help in the fight. And one point I wanted to make, in the middle of the good Avengers is fucking Wanda. So the Destiny Force done goofed, because she is not a good Avenger.
You fucked up, Destiny Force.
Done fucked up. That is not a good Avenger. I just wanted to make that point.
There's some cool nods to other timelines and stuff, though. Like, there's some Alex Ross designed characters in there, like the Captain America with the A carved into his head, and the Daredevil character. I can't remember what they called him, but it's not Daredevil. But
I think it's Daredevil.
It's
not Matt Murdock. It's not Matt Murdock, but I think he does take on the name Daredevil. Yeah, I was gonna say, I may have missed it, but like the evil Avengers, I don't remember seeing one X-Man. But with the good Avengers, there's multiple X-Men, which kind of
there's Beast, Storm, one thing about issue 11, the Time Lords are currently forcibly changing Kang into Immortus right now. So that while this is going on, it's a weird plot point that we should have said.
Did we mention they killed Immortus? So Immortus said, "Hey, wait a minute, why don't we all get along?" And so the Timekeepers are like, "Well, you can die." So he's dead.
Yeah, fuck that guy. And then they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, we want Immortus." Let's just make this Kang into Immortus.
Yeah,
real quick.
that's what I said. I was like, they're fast forwarding Kang's life to make him Immortus, but I'm like, Immortus just betrayed you guys.
So they can use him again.
What's the
but
point?
Maybe because they need him at early Immortus stages where he.
But Patrick, for a brief, beautiful moment in time, Immortus was creating immense shareholder value for the Timekeepers, and they want to go back.
And then again, eventually not so much.
Before it goes bad, they need him to create value.
While Kang is being like ripped apart and turned into Immortus, it's almost like skin sloughs off of him and becomes Immortus, and I'm like, maybe that's what that meat carpet is.
Oh yeah, maybe the meat carpet is the old Kang.
Yeah, it's your old weird body you were ripped out of.
All right, so issue 12 starts with Jan leading the charge. Follow me, Avengers.
And there's like 5 people behind her, which I think is weird. There's not a lot, like for a fight that spans all of time and space. Like, I'm not saying Carlos didn't put a lot of work into this, but there's not a lot of depth or like things happening in the fights in the backgrounds. Like, this is no Brian Hitch 8-page spread. You know what I mean?
No, it's just
so it
nonsense.
Sadly lacks in that. I mean, the title page is crazy big, but then it's really mostly big characters, and then it's very small people in the background. Like, but it's it seems empty at times when it shouldn't feel empty, I guess, with how many people are there fighting.
Yeah, the fight itself is complete nonsense. We do get to see Goliath. So
I was just gonna say, if you see Hawkeye in the background as Goliath there, that's
it still doesn't make sense to have a collar.
No, it makes no sense. You're just saying there's more to the costume at one point in time, so it sort of worked.
They just fight this nonsense fight, and then
and they just say keep fighting. That's like the dialogue is always just like keep fighting, just keep fighting, and you're like, oh my god, like I get it, like you're in a big fight, I get it.
Yeah, and none of it even matters because in the meantime, Kang decides not to be Immortus and just shoots the Timekeepers dead, and they win.
So again, Kang is the best fucking. He goes. So the Timekeepers are like down and out. They go, we still have power, we can escape. And Kang goes, no, you considered yourself gods, Timekeepers, unassailable. But in the end, you're only men with powerful technology, with machines. And any machine can be beaten and any defense overcome. Consider that, gentlemen, and give my regards to hell.
That's a good reading of that. Let me give you another one.
Dramatic.
Keep fighting, kid. We can't let him get the upper hand for even a second. Whatever. Just keep that Destiny force flowing. It's so strong now we can awaken it in others just by willing it. But without it, our side doesn't stand a chance. All right already. Jeez. Am I this annoying to everyone else?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, Rick.
That's why I was laughing. So Patty, you texted us that, and I literally wrote this. This is my note. All right already. Jeez. Am I this annoying to everyone else? Yes. Yes, you are, Rick. And you literally wrote the same shit to us in a text message. And I was just like, that's my favorite line in the entire book.
Well, he does save the day by jumping into the cannon and like exploding it.
Also, I mean, I get that they needed Rick. I guess Captain Marvel knew that they needed old Rick and young Rick to like be close to each other to unlock the Destiny Force so they could like turn the tide of the battle. But that's not really all that clear. And they don't even do it for all that long before old Rick is just like, all right, Captain Marvel's back, and clangs his wrists together again. And I'm just like, what the fuck was the point of that?
Well, that's what we call bad writing, Joe.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
In the industry, it's just known as bad writing. Yeah.
All right, sorry. I've taken us back like 17 times.
Yeah. So
Rick jumps in the
Captain
cannon.
America, and then Captain America finds the Incal, and he's tempted to use its power to rewrite history to be good. But then, of course, he's Captain America, and so he chooses not to, and destroys it. Although he doesn't really, because immediately in the next panel we find out that it'll be back, and he hasn't really done anything. So because of course it's a comic, so nothing can be final. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be able to be brought back.
You always need an opened end at the end of the end of the story arc.
Heaven forbid there's.
I do like how old. I'm not Kang, but Immortus is like a child and then a grown man, and then he has a beard. Like it's really cool that he does like age up really fast over like 2 pages.
Also, I gotta be honest, pretty good body on him.
Oh yeah, he's
like for someone who's just aged up in like 5 minutes and has never lifted a weight in a gym. He's pretty stacked.
I mean, he's pretty ripped. Is he on the Snyder's scale? He's a one.
I mean, he's definitely
he's a
on
one.
the scale for sure.
Well, everyone's on the scale.
He's not a
He's a 2.
one.
He's a 2.
I would say he's like a 2.
3 or
a 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3. 3.
2 or 3.
2. Yeah.
Like his definition, like he doesn't have nipples, so that's I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah,
that's
weird.
a minus.
But,
you gotta have nipple. I mean,
But he's got like ripped abs. Like he's ripped.
His upper abs look good. His lower abs need a little bit of work. His forearms are amazing.
His forearms are.
I mean, his legs aren't like Yellow Jacket legs. They're just kind of.
That's true. That's true.
No.
That's true.
Again, for someone who's just aged up over 5 minutes from a child, great.
Yeah, not
great
bad.
Look. Great definition.
I literally wrote, "How does this end?"
Yeah, I was going to bring it up.
This
so
ending?
Rick uses the Destiny Force to stop the Chrono Cannon, and then he's like half dead.
He absorbs the blast. They set the cannon off. Like he absorbed, being filled with Destiny Force or whatever the fuck. He jumps into the cannon, and somehow that's enough energy to like absorb the blast of like the Chrono Cannon going off or whatever.
And then Captain Marvel fuses with Rick to save his life.
Fuses with him, right?
Oh, yeah,
okay,
that's right.
But what happened to when he did that? Okay, so Captain Marvel Genis fuses with young Rick. What happened to old Rick?
You don't ask that question. That's the
like
question.
Old Rick was.
Ask.
He's dead now. I think it's the key.
You just don't ask about that old man.
I think old Rick is gone. I mean, he had an adventure clearly where he either killed Superman or respected him enough to pick his cape up and wear it around his body. So, I mean, maybe it's time. It was time.
I think
he lived a life.
I mean, I think this is meant to imply that through time shenanigans, this is when the two of them first melded. And then in the next iteration of this, Captain Marvel will be able to bring back this older Rick to do this again.
Well, here's my next
shenanigan.
My next question is, did Captain Marvel know exactly what was going on and exactly what was going to happen the entire time?
Yeah.
I want to say
alluding to I have to try to change things.
But he wasn't trying to change the outcome of the Destiny War because he knows how it ends and he knows his part in it. I think he was trying to get away from Rick.
He didn't want to be.
That's all he was referring to. Like he just didn't want to be chained to Rick for the rest of his life. He's like, fuck, it's gonna have to end the same way it did when I remembered this the first time. Like, and and that's what he did, which is even weirder in a way.
So stupid. Because if he wanted to change it, he probably should have been like, "Hey, you guys, I've already done this before. Let me tell you what happened," and then that way we can avoid it.
Yeah, it almost is like that would be a good purpose for him to have on the team. Like when Rick Jones and Libra first forged this team of time-lost Avengers. I know
you can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that.
That wouldn't make any sense.
No, you can't.
So stupid.
And then Captain America points again at the Supreme Intelligence, and then Libra sends them all back to their time and wipes their memory, and it's as if none of this ever fucking happened.
So does their memory get wiped, or is like... I think it like fade. Does it fade? And some of them remember some things, and some of them don't?
Well, nobody remembers except for Hank and Jan, right? For some reason, they get to remember.
Well, they're in present time.
Songbird, they make some Libra or one of these people makes a comment saying that you'll remember it when you need to. And so when Songbird is the one from the future, and when she goes back to her timeline, Janet, the Wasp, in that timeline says you'll remember eventually, like implying that Janet still remembers, but I don't know. I think they needed to be able to wipe some people's memories, like Captain America, because he's from the past. So for him to have the same, timeline, he can't remember it. But for people from the present and the future, it's okay for them to remember it because it doesn't affect the storyline going forward,
which means it makes no sense. That's the point.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense that one timeline would affect the future, but the others wouldn't, having known what happened. Because this is all happening outside of time either way.
It's so confusing. The one interesting thing about the last issue, though, was I mentioned in the first episode of this, Captain America is pulled away from a moment in time where President Nixon is like an agent of this white supremacy group and commits suicide. And apparently we learn in issue 12 that Captain America could have stopped him from committing suicide. And he decided not to, and he let him commit suicide.
So he's questioning his own self.
Yeah. I was like, that's an interesting little wrinkle that was not clear in the first episode.
Yeah. Some months later, still in the Oval Office of the White House, where Captain America staggers shaken, having just trusted a public servant revealed as a traitor, seen that man take his own life, and knowing irrationally, confusedly, that he had a chance to prevent it and had turned away. Yeah, that's his crisis of conscience.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what's going on.
It's not about like somebody shot themselves in front of me. Like he's seen death many times over, but like the fact that he could have stood in the way of it and chose not to made him question his own heroics, I guess. I have a question, like an end epilogue type question, not the epilogue of this book, but like an end question for you guys. But are we done here?
I think we got through all of it.
All right, so here's what I have to say. What about so in the fight, the 46% of timelines that are bad show up to fight against them, right? And Kang is just like murdering left and right with those little Gatling guns he has and like laser beams and stuff. And they're theoretically just fighting them, but then also the good guy timelines are there, so like so they come and start all fighting, so they're all just fighting each other and killing each other because there's bodies like everywhere. So here's my question: what happens to all those murdered Avengers since the chrono cannon didn't go off? Those timelines, like, do they not have Avengers anymore? Are there murdered Avengers across countless timelines because of this one fight? And if so, like what what does that fucking mean? Like they just go home and go, fucking Cap's dead, man. I don't know what to do. Like Captain America getting murdered in our one timeline was a huge storyline. So like it's just like, what the am I to imagine that all of these Avengers just went back to their timelines respectively and went, oh fuck, we lost half our team in that fucking fight. I don't know what's going on. Like kind of like, what the fuck? What does that even mean? Do all those timelines have to deal with those deaths?
I guess, yeah.
I think so. I think so.
Like Storm from timeline 1 million gets murdered, and then like you go back to that timeline and like Storm's dead. Like she's dead.
Well, it's also
an evil from another universe killed her.
Well, Joe, you've just hit upon the main theme of Avengers Forever War, the fallout, the follow-up,
the follow.
Anyway, it would be funny though.
All it made me think of was actually the Justice Lord storyline from the Justice League cartoon, where Flash died and the whole Justice League is evil because Flash died, and then and then you're just like, oh yeah, all those. So those potentially good universes could go back to where they were and have lost one member and potentially be like, a not good timeline anymore. Like it could rip the team apart or cause the ripples of this fight is astronomically huge. That's all I'm saying.
Sorry, is there something wrong with your audio? Do y'all hear something?
No, not at all.
Does this pass? God damn it. Well, you ruined the Bechdel test jingle.
All right, go ahead.
Well, this doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
Yeah, we need you to sing that jingle. I need a jingle for it.
You ruined it with your stupid transition noise. Anyway, this doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
No, it fails horribly. Miserably.
It does worse. Whatever is worse than failing is.
They brought in every female Avenger from every timeline, good or bad, and not once had them interact or talk to each other.
Nope.
At best, they were murdering each other.
It doesn't pass the Mockingbird test either. I don't think.
No,
it passes.
There's a bunch of sexy. There's several sexy lamps though that show.
Oh yeah, there are sexy lamps in this.
I have to say though, the Wasp and Songbird respectively on this specific team don't get overly sexualized, and they are like strong characters. They're not like
they were
Yeah,
They
Janet
were
was
the
the
two most
leader.
competent, probably.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Consistently, Songbird and Wasp are like holding the team together through random moments throughout the 12 issue.
There's a page where Libra explains why each Avenger was chosen from
Oh
each time
yeah,
period.
that way. Yeah, should we touch on that?
Yeah,
No.
so he says
No.
about he goes Captain America from his lowest point, shattered and demoralized. He brought cohesion, but he had been from any other era, his personality would have dominated the team, preventing the looseness, the improvisation that was key to this mission. What he says about Yellow Jacket is that Yellow Jacket, an unstable, delusional Henry Pym, arrogant enough to betray the team, a betrayal that was crucial to bring them here. The Wasp, only she who had led the Avengers through a time of great adversity, had the inner strength and the flexibility to give this team direction without exerting too much control. Giant Man, the team's quiet, stable backbone, providing support, and of course, to act as an irritant to Yellow Jacket. Hawkeye, a longtime
That's why
stalwart.
Hank's there.
Yeah,
He was
to like piss off
pointless.
Yellow Jacket.
Pointless.
Just to bother yourself.
Hawkeye.
We really
a
need
longtime-
Hank, and we really need Yellow Jacket to betray the team. Let's just get Hank in here
Oh
to
my
piss him
God.
off, and
Hank
carry
is the
Rick
fucking
around
worst.
when he doesn't have legs.
Hank is such a pathetic character in every universe he's ever existed in.
He is the worst. Oh, thank God! So that
Um,
whole time I wasn't crazy. No, you.
No, you absolutely were.
that part.
That wasn't a
part
lie.
was-
That part wasn't a lie. This is my favorite part of the entire book.
Yeah, because Hank is like grasping at straws. He's like,
I know.
that's why I went crazy. And the Space Phantom's like, no, bitch. Like, no, that
Oh,
was just,
sorry.
that was 100% you.
Sorry.
You,
It's all you, bud.
Hank, you are a mess. That was not us.
What Libra says about Songbird, he goes, Songbird, the link between the past, present, and future, with close ties to Hawkeye, the Wasp, and Captain Marvel. Though fractured by time, each relationship was skewed, unsettled. She affected the choices. So she's the only one that got like a pretty decent. Her and the Wasp were the ones that Libra kind of highlighted as,
Yeah.
you know, even though he called Hank.
So
the
again, not
backbone.
Makamori, not like they didn't have like strong arcs individually, but they were strong
No.
representations on the team, at least, you know.
Yeah,
I
don't
will
even know
say
if
that.
Songbird
Doesn't
had
count.
any lines
Yeah,
in the
doesn't
last
count.
3
Yes.
issues.
I'm not sure she did.
I'm pretty sure her
Like,
lines
I don't-
are "Keep fighting, everyone, keep fighting." That's all everyone said for the last like 2 or 3 issues.
Well, Jan, I mean, honestly, Jan didn't either. She had the one line where she goes, "Avengers go," but that's basically the last 2 issues. All she
yeah,
did.
it was like Avengers go, and then like a really punchy theme song came on.
Oh, what a mess. All right, can we stop talking? Are we done? Can we stop?
Well, wait, no, I have one more. I just want to make one more reference
ahead,
before
go
we go to
ahead.
overall takes. This is what I texted you guys about. It's the issue when the Space
Yeah.
Phantom is explaining all the times Immortus has like interfered in the timeline. He starts talking about how Iron Man was easy to control because of like some like neural lace he had over his brain. And he's like,
yeah.
Iron Man sacrificing himself to stop the false Kang's assault and saving the team he'd been forced to betray. He was later replaced with an other dimensional analog and ... And then Captain America goes, no more, please, no more. Is this what we are fated to endure? Is there no way out? And I was reading it and like, obviously Captain America's talking about how bleak their future is. But I just thought
Yeah.
in the context of that issue, I was like, yeah, this is really fucking painful. Like, stop talking. about Space
can we
Phantom.
stop
I
reading
don't-
this?
I don't care. I don't care.
And that leads us into overall takes. Where do we even start?
Who wants to start?
I could start. Like, this was awful. Don't read it. It was bad. It made me question why I got into comics and why I read them now. This was everything bad about kind of late 90s comics. So this obsession with like 70 years of continuity and making sure every past arc makes sense in the context of this current crossover. And I'm so glad. I know there's negatives to how comics are doing now, but I'd rather have this like the DC system where they reset the universe every 2 years rather than this obsession with like this
Trying to make it work.
encyclopedic look back at past Avengers history and lore and making sure everything is like tidy and neat and adds up. Like, this is the worst version of that. And you know, we talked about issues 8 and 9 are just this like hyper expository look back and like making sure the audience is completely aware that everything still makes sense. even with everything that's going on. So I hated everything about that. And then the Rick Jones character, also awful. And I know we talked about it, but like taking this like what used to be the young boy that the audience was supposed to vicariously like live through in the window into the world, and now making him again this kind of like this costume that every reader could put on, like he was representing all of humanity's latent potential, and like this could be you, this is us as part of the Avengers, like you reader at home are helping the Avengers as Rick Jones. This is the worst. Everything about this is the worst. I hated. I'm so glad comics moved away from this type of thing and are in a different place now, because this shit is unreadable. It's fucking unreadable. Don't read it. I'm done.
All I have to say is when I brought this comic up as something to read, and I think I said this last episode, but my only memory was like, I think there's some Kang interesting stuff going on here. I don't really remember it very well. Like kind of like, this is 25 years ago basically, but so it's like it's hard to remember, but I kind of remember reading it and just going, all right. But man, looking back at this now, reading it now, holy shit, it's bad. It's so much exposition. It's non-stop exposition. None of the fighting makes any sense. It's just superhero fighting superheroes for zero reason. It's all over the place. I have nothing to add to what Al said. It just makes you summed it up so well. Let's put it that way. Total pass. This is a bad comic. Why is this on everyone's top 10 list of Avengers comics? It makes no sense to me. This is a horrible story.
My overall take, I agree with y'all. It was painful to get through. Broad brushstrokes. I enjoy the concept of taking, like, if you were to do this in present day and be like, we talked about the Teen Titans recently. I'm obsessed with that run. If you were to go back and do a storyline where it's Teen Titans from different timelines, and I'm familiar with those characters, and you kind of go back and be like, oh, actually, this storyline you loved, there was this other thing going on with time travel. If it's done well, then like sure, like sign me up. That sounds cool.
The concept is fascinating.
The concept. Yes, the concept of bringing superheroes from different points in time and having them mesh together is interesting. The execution of this was terrible, but it's also a 90s comic, and I think comic books had to kind of go through this painful period, because we covered JLA Morrison's run, which is around the same time. Comic books started one place and it slowly evolved to, I think what comic books are now is kind of the best they've ever been. But 90s comics and early 2000 comics, I think, were very much trying to explore more high concept topics and storylines and time travel and all this stuff. And it was way too much. And it just didn't land well at all. And there's just so much dialogue. There's so much to read. There's no real through line in this.
It's just MacGuffin after MacGuffin.
Yeah,
like
there were little bits that were
none of it makes.
But
it's all just like babble and craziness.
Well, I was just gonna say, when it comes to time travel, like if your story is based on time travel, and you need to have a very, I think, strict structure of how time travel works and how everything works, and this just seemed completely fucking random. Like you're dealing with time travel. But then you're also dealing with different timelines, which implies like a multiverse of different realities. Nothing made fucking sense.
This run was also kind of the climax of, for a long time, crossover events were like Crisis on Infinite Earths, Avengers Forever, just universal scale, timelines, planets, aliens. It was just like the biggest, the most, like the largest scale we can imagine. We got to give the reader a lot. And then around 2004-5, we finally, I guess, reached a breaking point where instead we shifted to things like Identity Crisis, Avengers Disassembled. They were much more focused crossover events on people and like relationships, and it's on Earth. But in the late 90s, we were still kind of like at the peak of this era where a crossover event had to be like just crazy shit, interdimensional timelines, like the most universal scale of a conflict that you can imagine had to be the crossover event. And this
Yeah.
is that. Like this
The
is
thing,
that.
the thing about this one that is mind-boggling is that they invented all of this storyline for like no purpose at the end of it. Like, what did it really do at the end? Like, so you have that one issue where and it's the worst issue, where it's just pure exposition from Space Phantom about how Immortus had been fucking up with like shepherding the Avengers the entire time or whatever. But like, and there might be some like retcons like right in that one issue that like have lasting effects. But the rest of this is just like, there's this big Avengers storyline called the Destiny War, and that's what you're reading. And aside from the heroes going like, oh, the Destiny War, I've heard about that. Or the Destiny War, when's that going to happen? You know, like that's all we have. That's the only context you have. And at the end of the story, it's just like nothing, like it might as well not have happened. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that comes out of the story. Like at least Crisis on Infinite Earths, like that was a tool to take the DC universe out of this crazy multiverse thing that they had found themselves in, and went, let's get this back down to just like one, like, can we just like get rid of all this shit and like let's make this universe just like the DC universe again. And that was the point of that. And yeah, it's a long convoluted story, 80s style, where there's like a jillion word bubbles and narration just like this. But at the end of it, you come out with a clean DC universe that's just like, this is it going forward. This was like the opposite of that, where they just invented a bunch of bullshit and then wrapped it up nicely in a bow at the end. And then you're just like, what the fuck? You could have just not told this story. Like nothing happened. Yeah. Like there's no repercussions from it. There's no like versions of an Avenger that like, there's no Dark Beast from Age of Apocalypse joining our universe at the end of it. Like there's nothing bringing this story into the current continuity in any way. It's so bizarre. I was just like, aside from it just being like a crazy time story arc where like Kang the Conqueror and Immortus and like fun time hijinks, there's literally nothing happening. It's the worst.
The only proof we have that this happened is the millions of issues that Marvel sold, and that sweet profit.
Sweet dollar.
That's all they got. Power of the dollar.
Oh man. Just don't read it, guys. We took 2 episodes of our show to tell you not to read this.
I guess we should apologize.
I'm usually
we're doing a service. We did it for them. If someone goes, hey, read Avengers Forever, don't do it.
The concept of it, the idea is interesting, but don't read this, you guys. I'm sorry. I wish I could be nicer about it, but this was
something reminded me of this. It reminded me of Al's comment on the Teen Titans, and we were reading that a couple episodes ago, and something you said, Al, was like, it's not good, blah, blah, blah. I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. And I was just, and me and Patty were kind of along the lines of like, well, it's just a classic. I mean, it's not great, but it's just like classic superhero storyline, like from this time period. Like, what were you expecting? You can't even make that argument with this is the key. Like, I can't even go like, it's just a fun superhero story. Like, it's just objectively bad. Like, there's just too much exposition, nothing gained, nothing lost. Like, it's just nothing.
I mean, I will say, and I'm not saying this was a positive, but I will say I have like a weird sexual attraction to Hank Pym as Yellow Jacket now. But
YJ.
That's the most salient emotional response I've come away with from
maybe
this
you just really like when the dudes are pulling the gum out of their mouth.
Stretching that gum out.
Blow those bubbles, also, babe. Yes.
What do you mean Hank Pym? He's definitely not Hank Pym.
I mean, he's
just
Yellow
Jacket. He is just Yellow Jacket.
Yeah,
he's
you mean just Yellow Jacket, right?
Not human.
Because he's not Hank Pym. I don't know if you heard him say that a couple hundred times over the course of the issue.
Oh man, you know what's terrifying about the end of this is that they all go back to their timelines, and Yellow Jacket goes back to right before he marries the Wasp, and
he's like, "Let's do this, preacher."
It's like it's right before he abuses her. So I read that scene, kind of like, cool.
Wow, thanks for that.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think that's I think we did it. I think we did it, boys.
Yeah, I think we're going to go in search of a timeline where we didn't read this and just live our lives there.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. I
our
wish I
next-
could. I
Our
wish
next
I could.
journey. But yeah, thanks for listening and joining us on the Mobius Couch. Bye.
Goodbye.
Good journey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this run down memory lane with the Avengers.
Oh man, I'm almost sorry that we're putting our listeners through 2 episodes of this, but
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I've
You
learned.
know?
Well,
we
okay.
picked this at random. We picked Catwoman Lonely City at random, and that was really fantastic. And
that one worked.
We've been.
you win some, you
I
lose
will
some.
say, like, editor's note, we've been searching for random comics that like none of us really remember, and it's kind of fresh to all of us, so it's more interesting to talk about. And this was one of them, and it was a misfire at the same time, very interesting to discuss with you guys. So it was fun on that regard.
Also, the listeners don't pay for this, so
yeah. I mean,
next time pay for it.
Don't
Maybe
listen.
we'll
Just
get
don't
something
listen. You know, if you don't like the comic we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, that's Mobius Couch for this week.